much. All right, we'd like to address this question to Karnamrita Prabhu. My husband and I know a lot of relationship skills, but in the heat of the moment, we don't use them. What more can we do?
Uh, I've heard that from a lot of people that, it's theoretically we know what to do, but then we get triggered. So I think it just comes from having the desire to practice them. And for instance, there's something that we teach. Uh, what's it called? Reflective listening. And sometime, can you hear me?
Yes.
Mm.
Yes.
So reflective listening, it seems artificial at first, but it's a skill that can be practiced and learned. So if there's a particular area of concern, then you need to be able to, when you're calm, that's the thing. Sometimes we have to like wait to have a discussion when the emotions are toned down. If you're both angry, all bets are off that you're going to have any kind of meaningful discussion. You're triggered. You're not in your core self, in your best resourceful nature. So you may have to schedule a time when the emotions are down and you can be a little more thoughtful, reflective, and be able to objectively look at the problem. And then hopefully you do have enough skills where you can practice different techniques for, say, dealing with a conflict. That's a big topic. It is also interesting that I forget, Archer knows the name of the person. I think it's John Gottman. He says 90% of the conflicts with couples are not solved but managed. So that may sound a little disappointing to couples. Like, what? But we have to live with differences and make our love and appreciation for our partner primary, our offering to Guru and Krishna primary, and to know that if we are determined to get through whatever the difficulty is, we'll be successful. But so much, Partha said the attitude, that's a great analogy. Uh, it's also another plane analogy is that uh, on a jet plane, passenger plane, every minute or so, the computer has to make a correction. Otherwise, it's going to go off course. And we might have been driving for 1,000 miles and have no problem. But if we take our hands off the wheel, we're going to go in a ditch. So relationships take, like we hear that in the 6th chapter of the Gita, that the transcendentalist, the devotee, is constantly endeavoring for perfection. So in a relationship, we have to give time to the relationship. We have individual needs and we have the need of the relationship. And both need to be nurtured. I need my space, but the relationship has to be given proper time and energy. And I'm a person that likes to avoid conflict. So avoidance is not really a good idea because they don't go away. But we can accept our differences out of love, that we may not be able to resolve it, but we can appreciate the other person's perspective. We can ask meaningful questions. One of the things I find with devotees, I'm sure it's with people in general, is that if you say one thing that a person doesn't agree with, they tend to put you in a box and write you off. And they don't ask questions to understand. And people use words differently in communication. So they may say something that triggers us. We have a particular interpretation, but unless we ask questions with interest and calm, not accusing, we're not going to understand where the person's coming from and that they have a good intention. We have to think that our spouse has good intentions, the best of intentions, and that they're just out of their core values or out of being the best person they can. So part of a relationship is to help all of us be our best and most authentic, loving, kind self. That's who we really are. We're not this angry, resentful, angry, triggered person. That's not who we are. So we have to know that about ourselves too. We're not that person. We're a soul. We're lovable because we're part of Krishna. And that's what we want to bring out in our spouse. So if we're not able to use something, then we have to regroup and figure out how we can, or maybe talk to a counselor if it's, we get triggered too much. So that's what I would advise. And you have to believe, you have to be possibility thinkers. You can't be just dogmatic, triggered, it can't be solved. And that's going to fester. It's like a splinter. You put a band-aid on, it's not going to solve the problem. So, Hare Krishna.